fun part of finishing the weave. So now keep in mind how you inserted these, the second wall weavers. This is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna kind of group into 3, and then we're gonna finish weaving, but we're gonna combine those 2 walls. So then the double wall becomes 1 wall. So make sure you got your 1/2 inch ready and wet. So let's start off on like this one. So same thing, you're just gonna go over and under. The same as you did before, but the difference is you're gonna grab these little guys and kind of push them in and make sure they lay flat on this big piece back here. So just this first row, you'll kind of separate them, and this also helps make the design pop because you got to move these guys around when you're starting this first row, and then you can kind of move them where you want them to be. So we'll do these last 3 rows together. So on the corner, see how that's getting a little wonky? I will go ahead and put a clip in there just so it stays where I want it to stay. And make sure you put in 3/4 inches to every 3/4 one. And if you have to clip it to the stake, that's okay too. So again, I'm just pushing these guys together, putting them where I want. All right. Yeah, and you can even go so far down here and shove them over kind of in the middle. So, come on. You know you want to go there. Go in your homes. Okay, now we're back. So, just keep going around. So you're going to treat all of these as we started. So it's 3 to 1, and make sure you capture all of them, because otherwise it's going to get really bulky when you're finishing this up. So and sometimes you're going to have to shove these back where they need to be. So you're going to do these 2, oh, you're going to do 3 rows of this all the way around with this 1/2 inch. So I'll show you on this row. And the trick with this a lot of the time is with these twill patterns, you're going to be moving these little stakes where they need to finally be. Alright, so we're at the end of our row. Just going to clip this here. And then I'm gonna finish this off camera and then we'll be back for the cut and tuck row. All right, so we're back at the final row, and before you start cutting and tucking, a really important step is just to go through your design and make sure it's packed, because as this dries, it will shrink. And so you and you might not need to pack it at all, but it's just a good last minute thing to go over, especially these last 3 rows, and just work on it as best you can. And then another thing is, if you probably by the time you get this design done and you finish this, these will be dry. These will snap like kindling on you if you do not spray it. So the best thing you can do is just take lukewarm water, spray it right as you're finishing this, and then they won't snap. Just gonna go. That looks good. Back that down a little bit. And then we'll go on all 4 sides. Especially, you really want to watch the design on the corners, and that's where you most likely will need to pack a little bit more. Okay, so that looks good. So to create way less headache, you are going to cut all of the 1/4 inch flush right at the top. And then the only thing we're going to worry about bending over is the stakes. So if it's on the inside of the weave, they all get a haircut flush. So do that all the way around your basket. I'll do the front side. And then on these ones, make sure you only do the 1/4 inch, because if you snap these off, you're ruining the top of your basket. So go all the way around. And if you have a wood stove, it's kindling for starting your fires. Okay, that's done. So now I'm gonna go the front and just snap all these off. Straggler. Gotcha. So almost done. Okay, so now we're at this stage. So what you're gonna do is wet all these stakes, because if you don't, they will snap. So what you're gonna do is either go under, let's see, okay, so go either under the first row or the second, if possible, and just tuck it in. So then it'll look like, it'll look like that, all nice and flush, and you're gonna do that all the way around the basket. So go ahead and do that, and then I will meet back here for the final part. And we're back. So you got it all cut and tucked. It's all ready. Now, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna trim these guys, and we're gonna put the handles in. So really critical for this all to be evenly spaced, you wanna make sure you count the stakes over. So it's gonna be from the corner, 1, 2, 3. And so what you're gonna do, you're gonna face it the right way, and notch side in for the handle. And you might need a tool for this as well. But these slots are gonna go under these 2 rows on either side. So you'll have one in the middle, but it'll be the 3rd and 5th stake that you're putting the handle in. And more than likely, you're gonna need a weave right to get this in. So just open it up with your weave right and slide them in. Now I can often do this with my fingers and just push from the outside, but I've been doing it for 15 years, so tools are handy. And just, if it's giving you any grief, just wiggle it. All right, you need to go down a little bit more. So sometimes it'll go into the 3rd row and sometimes it won't. It just depends on the fit. So that looks about right. And now we're gonna go over, same thing on this side. So you're gonna count over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I know it's the third one in from the corner. I'm gonna spray this just a tiny bit. Make sure the notches are on the inside of the basket, because if you put them this way, they're gonna push out on your weave and it's not gonna look pretty. So you want it on the inside, and then the notches are where we're gonna lay our rim material over. And you will have to scarf that down a little bit to fit it in, but I'll show you that when we get there. So, put that in. Okay, you're actually in my way. See, now if you notice on this one, I don't have to go down into the 3rd row. It's just the first 2 rows. So like I said, sometimes it'll be different. That doesn't mean that it's wrong, just means that's a little bit different on that side. So it should look like that when you have both handles in. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start clipping our So what you're gonna do is with this style of basket, I start on the end. So you're gonna want these. These are really cheap. You can get them from Home Depot or Lowe's, or I'm sure Amazon has them. They're about like 3-4 inches. Get like 10 or 20 of them, and they're gonna make your life so much better when it comes to weaving. And then all I do is I kind of feel around the basket. I'm not measuring. I just kind of feel around and clip it as need be. So I'll put a clip back here, and on every basket I try to do a clip on each side. So that way, if it's too Little or too big, I can kind of wiggle it around and fudge it if I need to, but I'll show you that when we come up to it. Keep. So now, when you're coming to the end, you want to overlap this by minimum 3 inches, because otherwise when you're lashing, it could back out and that will not lay flat and it won't look good. So now what you're gonna do is you're just gonna scarf this end. And I try to get this as thin as possible so it'll lay flat. So you can see that's pretty thin. And then when you lay that under it and clip it again, I'll show it. Oh yeah, it'll lay completely flat and it'll look like one continuous piece. That's why you scarf those edges. So now we're gonna do the same thing, but on the inside. So now, it's a little tricky to show you this, but I'm gonna do the same thing, but on the inside of the basket. So you're gonna clip it, and same thing. What you do is you kind of feel around, pushing these together. Papers go flying. So now feel all the way around, clip it on this side. So now this is what I was talking about, the scarf. So now we're to the inside. See, you can tell on these handles, this is just a little bit too big. So what you're gonna do is take your, knife, X-Acto, whatever, and you're just gonna barely shave off a tiny bit there so it will fit in the notch. And then sometimes, yeah, you can just push it and it'll go in. So you want the notch to look like it's eating it. I know it's a weird analogy, but you'll remember it. So, and same thing on this one. And then if it runs like that, just snip it off, it'll be fine. All right, now that one I didn't have to shave down too much. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put a clip right in between there so it really sucks it in. And then I'm gonna grab one more clip. Grab another clip. So, almost to the end. Same thing for the other side of the handle, just as you did before. And it wants to go in, but it just needs a little bit of a trim. Okay, will you go in? Yay! Go in. And this is not something that is exact, because these handles are all hand carved in Amish country, and they'll be similar. So there's not any exact measurements I can give you on the rim row. It's kind of a by feel thing. So there we go. And then we go all the way to the end. And same thing, you're gonna cut it 3 to 4 inches and scarf it just like you did the other side. Okay. Make sure when you scarf it that these notches are in the handle, because otherwise, if they're not in and then you weave around, they might move a little bit and you don't want to have to re-scarf those edges. Okay, so now here is a trick that was taught to me. You want to make sure on these edges, you want to find where your corner is. So like here's my corner. So here's the horizontal and then here is the end, and you want to crimp those with your hands as hard as you can. So see, I'm making a 90-degree angle. That's what you want. And it's how we shaped our basket to begin with, but now we're doing it with a rim row, and that really adds shape with it. And see how rough I'm being? It's okay to not be gentle with this. As long as it's wet, it's flexible. If you do this dry, it'll crack. So make sure you spray it with some lukewarm water before you get shaping. So 90 degrees, 90 degrees. And you don't have to do this, this is optional, but I think it makes for a much cleaner finish. So look at that shape now. It's more of a rectangle than an oval. Okay, so now another critical part, more clips. This is a little bit different than when I do other traditional baskets. So when you're doing, you'll take your number 8 round. So see, because we have these handles in here, if you do it across, it's going to be bulky and not sit very well. So you need to measure from the edge of your handle and put a clip in there, and then slowly take it around the basket, shaping it as you go. And I've had this soaking in hot water for about 20 minutes. So, and then I'm gonna shape that a little bit. So you want it sitting in the middle of this, because when you come around to this side, you want it flush up against this other handle. So see, I've cut it and it's bowing out a little bit. That's too long. So you want it to sit like that, up against the handle. Come on. So that lives there. And then in the middle of these guys, you're going to fit this in the middle with its own piece. So you're gonna put it in there and you're gonna cut a slice so it's kind of flush to the wood. And it's a pressure fit. You want it to be snug, not too big, not too loose. So if I can't get it in there pretty easily, then I know it's too big. So just shape it down as you need. Probably need the other side too. So then it'll fit. Yeah, so now it's all snug in there. And same thing in the middle, it's a pressure fit. So you're gonna butt it up against that handle, clip it, measure. That's a little bit too big. That'll work. Ah, my number 8 flew away. All right, our material's been soaking and we are on the final stretch. Yay! So now is, we're gonna lash this and then we'll trim it up and it'll all be done. So this is how I was taught to lash. There is many different ways to start lashing, but this is the method I found that is the neatest and cleanest and most secure. So all you're gonna do is under your rim row, you're gonna find where the weaving is closest to here. So I'm gonna go under 2 rows, and all I'm gonna do is use my weave right and go under and make a space, and then I'm gonna use my lash and put it under the rim row and those first 2 rows of weaving. And I'm gonna scooch it down, and then what you do is you lift up that, so you go up over this, so you're going over, oh, that's kind of in the way. Let's see, can you see? No, we'll take that off. So you're gonna go over and then under, like that till the tail's sticking out, and then what I do is I press it with my finger, and this has to be really, really wet to do this, otherwise it'll crack. And then you just pull it up. So then it's nice and anchored and flat, you can't see it, and now you just take your weave right and go under that rim row. And this is how I lash to be fast at it. You most certainly don't have to do it this way. And there's no rules that say you have to use a long weaver. You can most definitely do a short weaver, and you could do a short weaver like halfway or quarter way around, and then you end it the same way you started it and then go again. But I like to do it in one big loop. So you're gonna do a loop, tighten it, and this is how I go around. So every one of these, you just do a loop, and then I'll continuously do the loop around, and then you just pull it through. So I did 2 loops, see? And then just pull it. So pull the second one. and you want to make sure you pull it really tight. So then that sucks this all up into one piece. So you have your first layer, your second layer, and your third layer. And then when you cinch it up, it becomes one layer. And when you are lashing, especially on this, you want to make sure that your filler piece is flush up to your handle. So I double check that, made sure, looks all good. Let's see. I always say make it squeak, and I'm pretty sure you can hear that. Make it squeak. So now, what I'm gonna do is, so we brought it, and this is optional, but what I'm gonna do on this one is I'm gonna make an X on the handles. And how that's done is you make a loop, and then all you do is you're gonna go to the left, but you're gonna come out that same hole that you just went in. So see, I'm coming out that hole. I hold it with my thumb, and then I pull. So now you have a pretty little X. And what this does is it creates stability in the lashing for your handle. So if you weigh it down, it's going to be more stout. This is optional, but I like to do it when I have a basket with handles on it. And then we're going to go around. All right, and we're all back. So I got it all lashed. Now your last spot is you want to go through that last hole. And then same way as you started it, go under. And go back up through. And then cut it. So now this next step is completely optional, but once again, I like to go through and shape everything. Just cleans it up a little bit. And like I said, you don't have to. You can keep it like an oval. And now all you do is go inside the basket and you just clip these off flush. Basketry, or Jill at jcbasketry.com, or coolbikebaskets@gmail.com. And I hope you guys have a blast making this. It's a really fun basket. It weaves up fairly easy. You know, you can do it in an afternoon, or you can weave up the first layer and then tackle the twill in another day. It's just a fun, easy little basket. I love the utilitarian aspect of it. I've always wanted to make one of these French wall baskets, and now you have one with some Cherokee twill on it. All right, have a great day.